Welcome to the show. Once again, it is the week 4 post game show. I am here, your host, Commissioner JD. I got three owners here with me. We got the Rhinos, Vipers, and the Gators. Thank you so much, guys, for making the time to be here.
What's going on?
All right, we're going to jump right into the graphic. Boom. There's the graphic up on the screen. Piranhas versus the Vipers last week. They went 2-2 and got their win over the Piranhas and put the Piranhas to 3-1 with a very impressive Friday night game. And we got the Vipers owner here with us himself. Maybe you could break down how that matchup went there. How'd that game go there, Vipers, on Friday night? You must have been excited.
Yeah, it was huge. Excited to get the win. I think our defense, I'm not going to say dominated, but we threw a nice little wrench into the West Coast offensive scheme there. The third quarter, we got into the half at 17-17, went into the third quarter, and for a long period of time there, it stayed 17-17, kind of going back and forth. The Piranhas ended up punting just outside of the 50-yard line, and we ended up driving all the way down the field, but threw an interception in the end zone. And then they pretty much came back down the field again, and we were able to hold them just past half. They ended up punting again.
Wow.
And we were able to grab the lead, and I think we held on to it from there. We did a good job of shutting them down in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. Yeah, that was a great performance defensively to stop this really high-powered offense in the Piranhas, for sure. The Rhinos here, you got something for the Piranhas and Vipers game? I see you representing the orange Piranha colors today. You got something for the Piranhas and the Vipers game on Friday night? It was a crazy game.
Yeah. This is burnt orange. This has nothing to do with the Piranhas. Personally, I think the Piranhas they fell a little bit short. They fought a good game. It was pretty even when it comes to total offense throughout the game. Everybody had an opportunity, but the one thing that the Piranhas, I think, slowed down their chance of winning was the rushing attack. They only had 90 yards, while Phil Clemens racked up 182.
Wow.
So that's always a big telling stat. And when it comes to the passing, it got flipped. The Vipers didn't pass as much as 166, but the Piranhas lit up with 307. So, Phil Clemens had a big run on the first play with the 80-yard run, which actually set them apart right in the beginning. They put their foot in the sand. And they had a tough time running the ball in the third, but the Vipers stormed back with a big run in the fourth by Clemens, a key moment, Albright with the 159 yards and 16 attempts, 2 touchdowns. He hits a streaking Shane. His target is the parking lot for 51-yard touchdown for the tie of that game. So it just seemed like the Vipers were just coming back, edging back all the time, and eventually came back and got the win.
Yeah, you're right, man. They definitely did play really good. It was a tight game, and then at the second half, for sure, definitely flipped. But yeah, that Friday night game was an absolute thriller and definitely a momentum swinger for the Vipers for this season. For the rest of this season, definitely could pick up some momentum for them. Do you have any cool stats or any funny stats or any crazy records that were coming out of that game, Gators? Is there anything that stood out to you record-wise or stat-wise?
I just want to give a small shout out. The owner of the Piranhas, too bad you can't be here. But damn, that was a good win by the Vipers. Hell yeah. That's all I got to say.
All right.
Big
Well,
win.
Great momentum.
Can I say something for a second?
Yeah.
Willie Burnside is a gamer. He runs hard. Alonzo Graham throwing the ball well. Preston was running good. He had some good routes there. He had a touchdown pass in the first that was amazing. Preston was a busy guy with over 100 yards, and but the fumbles early in the third, they kind of broke their back with the fumble there. So, but I believe like some teams fumble, guys fumble, but you don't expect it from your top running backs. That was kind of a shock.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I couldn't
Yeah,
agree
man.
more. Well, and then let's move on to the next game because we
100.
got 5 games to cover here, and we're at the 5 minute mark for this team. Let's move right into the Bears and Blue Jays. The Blue Jays surprised the league with their first win of the season, going 1-3, beating this really hot team than the Bears to start the league season off 2-0, and now finished 2-2, and are really scared of going maybe 2-3 potentially. And the Blue Jays with a crazy game quarterback Ralph Dorsey threw 5 touchdowns, and he came into this game with only 4. So he threw more touchdowns in this game than he did in the previous 3 games. Vipers, do you got something for us for the Bears and Blue Jays game?
Yeah, totally. This game was a real shocker, actually. But at the end of the day, the Blue Jays have one of the best secondaries in the league. On paper, they're one of the best teams still, even though at 0-3.
Yeah,
They're second in the league running the ball, and
yeah,
that was the telltale story. The Bears can't run the ball, and the Blue Jays pounded them up the middle, and that's basically what kept the Blue Jays in the game.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The Bears have been struggling to run the ball. Actually, they're last in the league at 10th for rushing yards with William Hillard there, and yeah, Bullet Train Blaine Higgins. He had almost 290 yards or something like that in one game. So they can definitely run the ball. Do you got something for us, Rhinos? Do you got something for us for the Bears and Blue Jays game? Quick little summary of the game.
Bears and Blue Jays game. Well, we already know that I said last time with the Blue Jays, if Higgins isn't running, it's not gonna work. But they played a good game, and I believe Higgins is really good for that team. But Dorsey, I mean, you can't say anything bad about Ralph Dorsey. I mean, halfway through the game, he was what 359 yards, 15 completions, 5 touchdowns at the end of the game. I mean, that's huge. He absolutely dominated that game. I think it's all Dorsey for that game. It's all Dorsey.
Yeah, I agree that was a huge difference for them. Obviously, he scored 5 touchdowns to win it, but right at the end, the Bears came back and almost scored on 3rd and 8 actually, and stopped at the 2-yard line and had to settle for a field goal to tie the game. They only had 2 seconds left on the clock. A little bit of mismanagement there by Bill Morris of the quarterback for the Bears. Had a chance to win it, settled to go to overtime, and guess what? Blue Jays got the ball first, and they went down there and scored. Is there any stats that stood out to you, Gators, in this game specifically?
There are a couple. First of which, what was it there? Dorsey only threw 15 completed passes. He threw 5 touchdowns. One in 3 completed passes was a touchdown.
Wow.
That goes to show you something important about their efficiency when they do complete passes. And Dan Ware for kick return touchdown.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Lastly, of course, Bill Morris, big underperformance. Barely threw anything.
Yeah.
1 touchdown, 0. Like very poor performance, Bill Morris.
Yeah, Bill Morris has been. You're absolutely right. Good point. He had like 4 touchdowns, a 4 touchdown game, multiple 4 touchdown games, and then this game only throws 1 touchdown. So yeah, that was a big one. Okay, now let's move right into the Dragons and the Werewolves. Wow. The Werewolves winning Coach of the Week by beating these Dragons and scoring 52 points and moving to 3-1. The Dragons suffer another loss and get their 3rd loss in a row. And man, it is scary for the Dragons and looking great for the Werewolves. Vipers, can you break down to give us a little summary of the Werewolves and Dragons game?
Again, this one was a dominating run performance by the Werewolves, and the Dragons pretty much couldn't stop the run at all.
Yeah.
I think the Dragons defense is kind of in trouble a bit. They're struggling to create turnovers or try to be productive at all on defense.
Yeah.
And yeah, for sure, these Werewolves coming in the league looking hot, putting everyone on notice.
Yeah, no,
Especially.
yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Like these werewolves are growing in popularity quickly. Is the way commissioner stated it. And yeah, they're looking really good at the run, man. Really strong at the run. But the Dragons, the big story is the Dragons finish with the 10th, last place offense, and really struggling to score offensively and only averaging 24 points a game. Rhinos, do you got a little summary for us for the Dragons and Werewolves game?
Well, um, besides all of that, I mean, Brandon Platt had a good game. Brendan Platt had a good game. 126 QBR, 314 in the air, three touchdowns. I haven't seen Platt play like that since like week two. So he had a good game. Burke obviously on the ground, doing his job with 11 broken tackles. 11 broken tackles. So he's running well. But what about Barber? Barber has been kind of in the background for a while, but he stepped up in this game. He had a couple good runs. He made a lot of people miss. But I think Barber is a real special part of the Dragons, along with Platt. They work the scheme well together from the backfield. But I think generally, I don't think there was any stopping the Werewolves because I think they're on a roll. I don't think it was the Dragons' time to actually even attempt to beat them right now. I just think it was all Werewolves. I like their scheme. I like the way they played the game, and I just don't think the Dragons could muster up enough to get it done.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, the Werewolves really put it to them and put it to them early, going up 14-7 in the first quarter. I knew right away that it was going to be one of those games where it's going to be scoring a lot of points, and I was worried about that Dragons lackluster offense at the moment. They got the pieces to do it, but they're not putting it together right now. Gators, do you got any cool stats or any stats that stand out to you in this Dragons and Werewolves game?
I like the flow of this game. This is one of my favorite kind of styles of play I see on both sides of the field, both teams, Werewolves and the Dragons. They both try to use the run game to set up the passing. Both quarterbacks were very efficient. Nobody threw any picks, and they're pretty good percentages on their passes completed versus attempts. The rushing was pretty great, obviously, 140 yards for the Barber. And then you got Darius Burke, which I don't know if this is a record or not, but 4 touchdowns in one game rushing.
Wow.
He had 22 attempts. It's like on average, it's like one every 5 rushes you're getting a touchdown. That's pretty tremendous. Any team would be glad to have a performance like that. But that's what I liked about this game.
Yeah, you're right. The 4 touchdowns is the best we've seen this season, and the best since week 7, actually, against the Wildcats. Phil Clemens himself of the Vipers put up 6 rushing touchdowns, which is the record. But yes, what a game by Darius Burke. I'm excited to see him going and could be early offensive MVP candidate for the season. If you're talking MVPs yet in this halfway mark, we could talk Darius Burke. But let's move into the next game. Leave you on that note, get everyone itching. The next game is the Cobras versus the Gators. And oh my lord, I feel terrible for these Cobras. Really, really, really struggling to get the ball going offensively. They did really well defensively. I know it doesn't show that on paper. They've actually let up a lot of points on paper, but they did well defensively, getting lots of pressure. They got the shining star in Vontrell Jean doing really well. They're getting they're getting tackles behind the line of scrimmage. They actually had a couple turnovers. Ron Tate got 2 interceptions himself. So I think the Cobras are in trouble. And after this loss to the Gators for sure, the Gators looked really impressive, obviously lighting it up and setting a record receiving wise with over 270 receiving yards by Alan Dwight. So Vipers, how do you see how did this game play out to you, and what did you take from this game?
Well, I just want to first start by saying that there's a big key aspect to this game. Sellers was traded just before the game,
Yeah.
and that means he played the Gators twice this year.
Yeah.
And unfortunately had the same result. Didn't do much better, right? The second time, he didn't bring much knowledge from the prior meeting to help the defense out, and they struggled.
Yeah, no, you're right. You would think that, the second time around that he would know what was going to happen, but it's almost like the Gators had his number and have his number. But besides that, do you have any last points there, Vipers, or that's it?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I got something
Okay,
to say.
I know the Rhinos do. So, Rhinos, let's hear it. What are the
That
Rhinos?
was a great game. That was a great game because I seen that Eric Reeves was effective as usual. He had big plays, one coming in the second with a nice route run. I had no problem really with the way the Cobras were moving the ball, but the key moment for me was late in the second when Reeves hits Allen Rappers Dwight on a big play downfield, shows how good potentially he could be. Well, that happens. Darius Henson earned his paycheck by a big vicious block, and he absolutely crushed somebody. I didn't even see who it was, but he crushed them. But the Gators, I like the way the Gators play the game. Kudos to you for this segment. But after this segment, we're back to the same. All right, William. The Gators, they take risks. I love that about the Gators. Reeves knows how much Davis wants to rock, but he loves to get his wide receivers in the game. And I've been noticing he's been throwing a lot of good passes to his wide receivers. By the half, the Gators were up in almost every statistical category and had the lead 20-10. They were just in control the whole game. And the Cobras had a key moment. The Axeman out of nowhere springs himself loose and makes the Gators pay secondary looking silly and runs for an 80-yard big play for him. The Cobras got bright spots, but until they address all of the other underlying issues with the team and the scheme, they're going to stay the way they are. But if they turn it around, they got good players, and I still believe in the Cobras next season. Gators got them this season.
Oh, rough. Hey, I couldn't agree with you more, except for that last thing you said. But everything else, I absolutely agree with
I
you.
call it how I see it. I mean,
agree.
Brian Williams is good. He had 115 kick return, 115-yard kick return. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by the bright spots in the Cobras. They got ballers out there. He's shifty and he's fast. So I think they should use Williams too.
It was Dan Ware that got the kick return.
Was it Ware or Williams?
Or no, it was Williams. Sorry, it was Williams. Sorry. Brian Williams got it for the Cobras. Yeah, he got the kick return touchdown, and he did really well offensively as well. You're absolutely right. So the Cobras do have a lot of shining spots, but then lose another one to the Gators. Gators looked absolutely impressive in this game. Do you got any cool stats out of the Gators game for me? Let's hear it.
For sure. So Alan Dwight was the only record breaker this game.
Yeah.
We have the defensive lineman, Trenton Ward. He got 2 sacks that game, and I think that's the story of this game. 4 sacks total against the quarterback from at Simmons.
Yeah.
So that's huge. The defense was that game. That's what gave us, that's what gave the Gators so much momentum. They were able to do what they wanted. They passed, actually, this is a big stat that I bet you weren't looking at. The Gators only had 4 different receivers that got the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
Only 4 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we didn't get the ball given around everyone, but it was effective when they gave it, especially Mr. Alan Dwight.
I couldn't agree more, but hey, when Alan Dwight's playing that well, you don't need to give it to anybody else. But yeah, no, you're damn right.
276 yards. Plus Clemens had 94. Almost 2 receivers, 100 yards, man. Great.
So 3 records set there. Obviously, the receiving yards. He got the most receiving yards by any receiver with 270 yards. The Gators had that record, and they also got the most sacks by individual player with 3 sacks by one player is a record. Also, they got more sacks by a team in a single game with 4, which is a record. So now let's move on that point. Let's move on to the last game. the Rhinos versus the Wildcats, and I'm gonna mute the Rhinos for this segment. But man, was it such a great game for the Rhinos. They played absolutely phenomenal. I'm just joking, by the way. They played absolutely phenomenal. This high powered offense with these Wildcats only scored 14 points. And if you ask me, which you're not, but I'm telling you anyway, when they got that kick return by Randy Dorsey, it was like getting in a boxing fight when you get that one punch right to the gut and you kind of lose the air in your lungs, and it's not really about how hard the hit was, but it was in the right spot. They lost the momentum in their breath on that hit, and they never came back from it. And the Rhinos ran away with it, turning the ball over late in the game. Vipers, give me your breakdown of the Rhinos and Wildcats game.
Yeah, this game was huge. The Wildcats came in 3-0. Rhinos were looking to get back on the winning side. As a revenge game from last year, the Wildcats kind of not really ran away with it, but kind of won with a decent point lead, right?
Yeah.
And the Rhinos really threw a wrench in their game plan and came in, tried to slow the ball down, and I think they did it pretty effectively. Like you said, they were a high-powered offense,
Yeah.
pretty much blow for blow with any team, and then came in and only got held to 14 points, right? So, go to the Rhinos on a huge fucking win.
Huge fucking win, quote unquote, from the Vipers owner. That's absolutely
Big
true. I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. That was
Big
a
win.
huge win for the Rhinos. Very impressive win. But Rhinos, break it down for us. Oh, what's that, Vipers? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I had to emphasize that win.
And you did well. Hey, Rhinos, break it down for us. Break it down for us, Rhinos.
Well, yeah, this was a game we needed. We knew we needed. I mean, the game was full of big plays. At times, both quarterbacks were throwing to Otis out of bounds. If you guys don't know that receiver, he was drafted this early as a walk-on. Otis out of bounds. I don't know who they were throwing to. I saw a couple plays where they were just throwing it out on the sidelines, right on the numbers, hard for anybody to get. But I mean, the defense was strong on both sides in the first half. Not too long after they score, Horton shows off that arm strength and hits a streaking Jason the Jet Jones for a 73-yard bomb, leads to a score. So a key moment for me, other than that, was 28 seconds left in the second. None other than Randy Dorsey runs gets the kickoff return and runs all the way down the field. I was so happy for that for the six. His speed is crazy. Randy Dorsey, the candy shop is open all season. Let you guys know, candy shop's there. You know what I'm saying? But the Wildcats, they had a big play in the second with a nice touch pass by Ingram to score one of his touchdowns of the game. Ingram hits his receiver on an out, which was a 37-yard out, and it was clutch in the second. Ties the game. Wide receiver Dave Rogers was working all game, running routes. He was over 50 yards, and tight end Bennett for the Rhinos with a big catch late in the third. So the Rhinos really put it together, a comprehensive game plan, and they came away with the W over the powerful Wildcats, and I'm just happy for the guys, man.
Yeah, man. Congratulations on the win. Let me unmute Rhino's mic there.
Now go ahead now. They bad brutally.
Hey, great win, great game. Thank you guys. Thanks owners for being here. We're at the 23 mark. I'm gonna end it there. Great summary of the week. Hey, Gators, do you got some stats for us before we go? Gators, give me some cool stats from this game before we go.
7 completions for the Rhinos. That's it on the wide receiver. The game was run by Mark Marshall. 10 broken tackles.
Wow.
All the game was on his shoulders. The Wildcats did not run the ball at all. 40 yards, and their passing game was lackluster.
4-0. All game. Rhinos defense. Rhinos defense. 40 yards for Williams.
Hey.
Radioactive man met his kryptonite.
Hey, even Homer Simpson.
We're a biohazard zone in Rhino Land.
Even
No
Homer,
radioactiveness.
even Homer Simpson can handle radioactive. Okay. Hey, this was Gator's segment. Let him
Good
finish
stuff,
the
guys.
segment. Yo, you're right though. 7 completions. That's a big one. That's it. All right.
40
All right.
yards.
Oh yeah.
40 yards.
All right. Hey. Great
I'm
win,
just
guys.
saying.
Thanks
Good
for
luck.
being here.
Everyone else.